Hi there, and welcome back to New News. I'm your host, Maya Giss.
And I'm your co-host, Elliot Giss.
The weather has been so nice lately. I can't wait for summer.
Me neither, Maya. My Washington vampire skin is much needed as vitamin D.
Haha, I'm sure most of us are in the same boat. So with summer vacation right around the corner, or well underway for some of us, let's dive in to today's big Q. Is summer vacation too long? Some schools across the country and world are operating on a year-round calendar, which entails more breaks throughout the school year rather than the 10 weeks off during summer.
We will discuss the history behind our beloved break, pros and cons of summer vacations, the alternative to year-round schedule, and talk to a few of our valued community members to hear their thoughts.
We'll be right back after the break.
Well, now that that's over, all right, let's get into it. First off, let's look at the history of summer break.
An article from PBS titled Agrarian Roots, Think Again discusses the history and myths behind summer vacation in order to bring to attention the different criteria we have today versus in the late 19th century. This piece is meant largely for those pushing for a change in our academic calendar, but can be useful for anyone impacted by the education system. Most of us would assume that summer break existed to correspond with the agrarians' agenda. However, according to this article, if we were to follow a farming schedule, school would have more breaks in the spring and fall to follow planting and harvesting requirements, rather than the 2 to 3 months in the summer.
That makes so much sense, right? So why do we have summer breaks then?
The traditional summer break actually started roughly in the 1850s and was largely because school was year-round and kids would just not show up. Also at this time, air conditioning was not accessible, so school during the summertime consisted of unbearable temperatures in classrooms lacking proper ventilation.
I can't stand high temperatures. Just thinking about those muggy classrooms makes me overheat. However, we have access to air conditioning now and have different requirements surrounding attendance, so why still push for summer vacation?
And that's exactly what we are discussing today. Up next, some pros and cons of summer break, as well as the alternative year-round schedule. See you after the break. Here we have a blog post from SMU's newspaper, The Daily Campus. This blog came out roughly a month before the start of summer vacation, so it was a prominent subject across campus as college students were prepping for a much-needed break. However, despite the prominence of this topic, it's based on the opinion of a singular, most likely underclassman, college-age student. These ideas may not be relevant for kids in elementary school or even upperclassmen in college.
Well, that's a good point, Maya, but I think some of these ideas can be used across the board. For example, the con regarding family time is prevalent for both students and parents. I mean, personally, I couldn't stand my family when I was in middle school. And I know parents with young children have their hands full during the summer.
You make a good point. One of the pros talked about gaining new experiences that aren't offered in the classroom, and I think that's also important for all ages.
For sure.
With that being said, let's take a look at a PBS interview in Virginia with the district that operates on a year-round schooling schedule.
Wait, what exactly does this schedule look like?
Of course, let's get into that. It varies from school to school, but let's take a look at this graph, which helps depict the distribution of summer break over a year-long period. This graph is good for the more visual learner and shows how the year-round schedule really optimizes education time. However, there is more to this debate than just the time aspect, and a graph cannot illustrate that.
Which is why we're going to talk about this interview.
Exactly. This interview is perfect for students, educators, parents, or anyone else who is involved with the American education system wanting to understand how this schedule really works. The purpose of this interview is to highlight the benefits as well as some of the drawbacks of this system. We are in a new era looking to optimize education, so this video helps illustrate why or why not switching schedules would be beneficial. While we hear different opinions for varying perspectives, this interview does take place on the East Coast. The culture and political agenda in this area is much different than that of Washington, so it's difficult to say whether these perspectives can be related to our education climate or not.
That's definitely a fair point. It's crazy how different our systems are state to state.
So true. Up next, we are diving into the community to hear what they have to say.
All right, welcome back. Let's tune in to Maya, who has a Peninsula High School, talking with some locals.
Thank you. So today I'm going to be interviewing varying members of this community to see what they have to say about this new schedule and summer break. First up, we have Fabian. a junior at Peninsula High School. So, tell me, Fabian, what are your thoughts on summer?
Dude, summer's totally rad, man.
Okay, how do you feel about a year-round schedule that distributes summer breaks and to allow for more breaks throughout the year, but would lead to a shorter summer?
Dude, that sounds totally stupid. I love summer,
Yeah, that's totally fair, but why?
because summer's awesome. You get no school, it's rad, no homework.
Thank you so much for that, Fabian. That was an experience. So up next we have Principal, what was his name again? Dr. Shreds. So what are your thoughts on a year-round schooling system?
Well, over 70% of the students
Yeah.
have Alzheimer's, which makes it
Okay, of course.
which makes the current schooling system a terrible inconvenience to those with Alzheimer's. We're not focusing on the people with Alzheimer's. By the
What's
time
in
they come back to
Alzheimer's?
school, they've forgotten everything.
Of course, yeah, that makes perfect sense. So overall, you think it would be a good choice to change the schedule to a better system?
No.
Thank you so much. So now we're gonna talk to some parents of the community. Last but not least, we have parent Joe. Is that right, Joe?
That is correct.
All right. So what do you think about operating on a year-round schedule?
I think it's a great idea. My little Georgie is just gonna have the time of his life learning and stuff. Oh, he has like 5 crushes right now. I can't wait till he gets a girlfriend.
Okay. So why do you think this would be beneficial?
Because, the more his grain grows, the more people will like him. And he'll be more successful in life.
Okay, that's wonderful. So that's all we have today. Back to you guys, Elliot and Maya.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
Wow, that was so nice to hear from our community.
Yeah, it sure was. Maybe we can start making the switch to year-round schedule. It sounds like it would be extremely beneficial and something educators, students, and parents wouldn't be adverse to.
It's important to look at all perspectives and variables when making a big decision like this. Personally, I would love to see the change nationwide. I feel like we could really optimize education and create a more engaging environment system that avoids the lengthy review phase when we return after a long break. Overall, I see more positives than negatives in switching to a year-round schedule. But I encourage you to ask yourself, what do you gain or lose from a long summer break?
It's an important question to ask as we consider making this change. Next week, we'll be discussing whether climate change reform is more effective on a local or global level.
Thank you for tuning into New News. We will